the Mindful Living podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and this is the podcast where we explore the art of conscious presence, personal evolution, and what it really means to live well. Now, today we are not just talking about feeling better, listeners, we're talking about being fully alive. Because let's face it, there is a big difference between surviving and living. In a world obsessed with doing more, quote unquote, doing, producing more and scrolling endlessly, as also called as doom scrolling, the radical act might just be tuning in, moving your body, and reclaiming your vitality as a non negotiable. If I can summarize, it's being, not doing. And our guest today is someone who lives and breathes this truth. Jayne Gottlieb, she's often called the quiet luxury of the vitality and self actualization world. Jayne's not here to sell you wellness stuff, listeners. She's here to remind us that aliveness, not comfort, not productivity, but raw, embodied aliveness, is the gateway to everything else. She is the founder of Aspen Shakti, creator of the Alive Culture app, and a holistic vitality coach who has spent over 2 decades helping people reconnect with their bodies, their energy, and their deepest, most profound truth. So, with that, Jane, welcome to the show. And I am so honored to have you here with us.
Oh, Sana, thank you. That was just a beautiful introduction. And I'm so grateful. This is my favorite thing to do to talk about, inner vitality and radiance.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm so blessed to have this conversation with you, Jane. So, if I'll go a little bit off script, I would have asked you, how do you define being alive? Because every one of us will have different definitions of being alive. So, how will you define being alive, and why do you think being fully alive is not a luxury? It is a necessity.
Thank you for asking me that. And I love that you're asking me to define it because, yeah, I do think that we all define it a little different. And to be completely honest, I think I define it differently day to day, which is the nature of aliveness that I am meeting a moment for the first time every time instead of um, as if I've been here before, which to me is a really big piece of aliveness. And the best way I can describe it today is I that you are able to be fully in the movie, like in your body, aware that you're watching a movie, like and writing the script of the movie at the same time, moment by moment. So it's being able to be fully embodied in your body, your mind, and your spirit in the present moment as life unfolds. That's one way I love to describe it, and I'm tend to be very poetic with my words, and the other way, it's like if our bodies are an instrument, we let life play the chords and the notes, and to me, that's when I feel the most alive and how I would define it.
Mhm. Mhm. And this is so it so connects with me. But what for me struck a chord is, for you being alive, it changes every day. It's day to day. You define it differently every day, because sometimes a few days can be really monotonous for us. Everything is fine. But then there will be days, where every moment it's changing. Things are changing. People are changing. Situations are changing. So that's really such a refreshing way to look at, being alive.
Yeah, well, it's just it allows me and the reason that I'm so passionate about this is because I've had monotonous days, and I've had days where I recognized that while I may only get 31, 32,000 days of some sort, right? If I live till I'm like 95, 100, it's not that many days. And I'm mesmerized truly with this earth and what a gift it is to be alive. And sometimes when my attention is going to what I'm lacking or what I don't have or where I feel fear, I forget the privilege of life itself And so to me, to be able to have a tool or even just a mindset or an awareness that, hold on, I can redirect my attention and come into relationship with this life as the gift it is and not the story of what's happening to me or the context. It allows for my vibration to lift. And this is related to, you asked me, why is this a necessity and not a luxury?
Yeah.
Um, I think some of our planet is struggling right now. It's not all harmony, and not that it's ever meant to be in perfect harmony, but when we lift our vibration and we lift our frequency, we literally change the frequency of the whole planet, the world. And so I believe that the world is asking for more of us to be able to feel and be in the light of and a dynamic frequency, so that we can be a contribution to the planet with our life instead of like a source of consumption.
That is, I agree with you. I agree with you. And that is sadly so true. So true that what we are seeing, specifically, I mean, yes, it wasn't supposed to be always in harmony, but right now it is at an alarming level.
Yeah,
It is at an
it is.
alarming level.
And there's so much suffering, both, in the with Mother Earth herself and the climate and the way that she's having to behave. And I don't blame her. And just there's suffering on the planet that makes my heart hurt.
That's true. But you know, that's the and that's how it ties with Shakti. So in our Hindu mythology, uh, everything we say that everything is born from Shakti. So there is a god who is called the destroyer. There's a god who is the creator, and then there's God who keeps everything intact and balanced. So that's what I have been taught, and I also very strongly believe that when things are completely out of control, Mother Earth will always make sure that
Mhm.
it is destruction, but then there is creation as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, like the whole cycle of it all is the magic, and I believe that that is somehow in harmony. But maybe it doesn't have to be this dramatic to find our harmony, Maybe we can enjoy an ocean that is a little bit calmer.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it doesn't give the permission to all of us to be instrumental in that destruction. Never,
Yeah.
ever. Anyway, so I would also love to know, I guess our listeners would love to know, Jane, you have developed powerful body based practices through Aspen Shakti and their life culture app. So, um, what was the journey behind this? I mean, how did you explore that, movement, energy work, they can help unlock deeper spiritual or mental clarity for us?
I guess my answer to that is, it wasn't until I recognized that the body was carrying vibrations inside me that needed to be released and unlocked to heal. In the sense that I've done a lot of work, of consciousness work, of studying, of working with coaches, of working with therapists, and it's all been incredible. And it's awakened me at a huge level. But my experience of life, until I was able to integrate that through the use of my body, which took movement. It took actually embodying the knowledge that I had gained, which is actually in some ways so much easier and faster, but also much harder because it becomes so real. It's not concepts to contemplate. It's actually a living, walking, talking, um, like embodiment of a vibration until I was able to live where my words, essentially my personality changed, right? Until my words were shifted, until my thoughts shifted, until my prayers and my actions shifted, the healing was not complete. And I recognized that it was actually a faster journey for me to maybe not have to understand it all, but to move it through energetically with breath, with music, with movement. And all of a sudden, I was essentially liberated from some programming or some belief systems that I didn't even know I had, and I wasn't consciously having to unwind or wrestle or grapple with my thoughts and my mind. I was literally just using energy and I would say music, so harmonic vibration to alchemize and bring my system into coherence with the present moment. And when I did that, my sense of energy and I would say aliveness, but freedom and the
Mhm.
depth of my breath, like my ability to really see the world from with the eyes of my heart and through the truth of my soul just became available to me.
Wow, that sounds beautiful. So,
Yeah, and so I'm passionate about teaching it because so many people, while we understand maybe what happened to us or why and where we need to go, with so much respect and humility, I'm watching still a whole story or a whole lifetime or a whole operating system be stuck in their bodies, like what you can see in someone, and their communication doesn't actually feel as true because there's something stuck or blocked in their body that isn't actually aligning with the wisdom of their mind.
absolutely, absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful. Jane, you also, this is something really not the typical wellness, discussions that, we usually hear a lot. You integrate shadow work, sexuality, and then soul. Why are these elements critical to living fully alive?
Well, to me, okay, I'm back to that definition of fully alive. It's like full spectrum living, right? We live on planet Earth, which in my understanding is literally the dimension or the planet of duality, where in order to feel and be a certain essence of light, we have the exact equivalent amount of quote darkness in us. And so full spectrum living would be the ability to be with both of it. And the more dark that I'm willing to understand and accept that is in me as part of who I am as on the planet of duality, the more light I'm capable of. So to me, this idea of and there's so much energy in our sexuality, in that, right? And there's so much passion and that often is associated sometimes with shadow or it just needs to be quote hidden. And so using that kind of passionate energy to give my colleagues, my students, whatever, the students I'm blessed to serve, right?
Yeah.
The the confidence, the energy to hold and the strength to be able to hold as much darkness as they are light. It awakens an aliveness and a confidence that allows, certainly me and my own experience, I can be with it all a little bit more without ejecting or, leaving the situation emotionally, spiritually, physically. I can hold more because my nervous system is strong enough. And so I really I it's re it's really powerful to me to work with shadow and not so much even to clear it, it's to with it so that we can then be with more light.
So it's like instead of avoiding, it's more about embracing it.
Yes, and being in honest truth with ourselves of, wow, if I'm capable of this deep, unconditional, radiant love, I'm capable of the opposite of it only because it's another expression of love.
Mm. Interesting.
Grief and joy, like, grief is not a pleasant feeling to experience, and yet it signifies to me the depth of my capacity to have loved.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Grief is definitely a very powerful emotion, and um, grief, anger, they can either make us or break us. And that is true. That is true.
Beautifully put. Yeah, I really, I agree with you, and that was really beautifully put.
Um, and have you come across any myths around vitality or embodiment that you think needs to be debunked? I mean, one, because in wellness space, I mean, if I ask today anyone who has not very much extensively has been into the healthcare or wellness or the mental health circles, holistic health, they'll say, it's just, fluff. It's all uh, blind positivity, and, saying that I'm fine. Just saying that itself doesn't make me fine. So I even care about that. This one particular myth, it's common across all the circles. So any particular myth that you have come across in vitality or embodiment that you think needs to be really debunked?
Well, it really is this consistent statement that, you know, being fully embodied is a luxury, or being alive is fully a luxury, like we don't deserve it, or that just happens if everything else is in place. And I just think the truth is the inversion, that if we do approach things holistically and really allow our bodies to be where the wisdom is, along with our minds and like our spirits, that trilogy, if we come from that place, actually our productivity and our creativity, one, it doesn't tire us out, but it comes through us as the gift literally that we incarnated to give. Instead of feeling like doing, it's almost like you're being propelled by your own wind at your back. Um, so to me, there's so many, certainly in the American culture, men and women, but who just they work themselves to the bones, and they're using their mind, and they're using caffeine and whatever else it is to stay up and like exhausted, but having to show up. And I really, the myth here to me is, if you could actually take some space, bring your system into, harmony, or a little more coherence where it's not fighting against itself, the productivity is going to come from within without effort. Um, yeah. And so there's nothing to defend then, and there's nothing to protect, and there's no I'm going to I'm going to burn out or do it better than you or this or that. It becomes this sort of beautiful, it's in alignment with nature. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, it does. It does. And it makes it more practical and human because once again, um, many of the modalities, they often get that tag of, being woo-woo or too much, over spiritual, that the actual benefits, they somehow get faded or diluted
Yeah.
into that.
And I'll just yeah, I'll just add, because I think this helps make it practical too. Every culture wants to create itself, in the sense that, like, we want to procreate. We want to have more of ourselves. That's nature. That's evolution. That's natural. And that's why I bring sexuality into what I do, because at the end of the day, we're all kind of trying to be more successful, more fit, more smart, all the things, so that we're more attractive to a mate, so that we can procreate, right? If you really, really break it down. And it's so interesting, because when we're disembodied, our whole level of attraction and pheromones just like drops. And it's this idea that, like, there's nothing more magnetic, there's nothing more attractive than loving your own energy. And when you're working yourself to the bone and you're not in your body, and it's not hot, like, you're working against the law of nature, that we are here ultimately to, have the best mate and the best sex and all the things. So it's just sort of kind of adorable how we get mixed up in our own mind.
So, and that's, that closeness, that caged feeling. makes it feel like luxury, not a necessity. But when we are open, then our minds, our hearts, our soul wants to learn more about it. Then gradually we come to conclusion that yes, this is something which I need. This is not something I want, but it's a need for me.
Yeah, it's like a paradigm shift, literally. It's brilliant.
Wonderful, wonderful, Jane. So before we wrap up this beautiful conversation, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, explore more about Aspen Shakti and the app that you're bringing, what will be the best way to do that?
Thanks for asking. Well, there's a few ways. AspenShakti.com. You can find your way. My personal Instagram, which is my name, Jayne Gottlieb _. Those are great ways. And then also you can search in the App Store the Alive Culture app, which is really it's meant to be the hub or like the alive vortex to hold all of the humans socially, professionally, casually, however, who subscribe to this ethos or want to subscribe to this ethos because we always say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So
Right.
this ethos that aliveness is not a luxury, it's actually vital. And so it's a place for us to connect, meet each other, find ways to connect in person, classes to take, courses with people, healers. It's a place of connection. So the Alive Culture app.
Wonderful. I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes. And Jane, I couldn't thank you enough because you really showed us that aliveness is just not a vibe, it is a commitment. And
Yeah.
it is like the homecoming to our bodies, our breath, and to the energy that moves us literally and figuratively. So thank you
Yeah.
so
Thank you, Sana. It's been such a privilege to talk with you. And yeah, I enjoyed it so much. Thank you.
thank you, Jane, for your kind words. And to all the listeners, I hope this episode, I mean, if there's one thing I am taking away, it's that feeling fully alive isn't about, perfect routines or trendy rituals. That's what I believe. And it's about being brave enough to feel everything, to get messy, and to get real, and to remember that we are here to live, not just perform wellness. So, I hope this episode gives you permission to reawaken your own sense of aliveness. Try something that moves your energy today. Listen to a song, dance,
Yes.
love yourself, love your partner, and walk barefoot in the grass. You don't need permission, but if you're looking for a sign, let this be it. This is Mindful Living. I'm your host, Sana. Until next time, stay aware, stay awake, and most of all, stay alive. Thank you.